guys, so I thought I would do a little bit of a tutorial on how I set my Floyd rows up. See here, I've already got things broken down, the strings taken off and sort of cleaned up a bit. I'm going to be using 5 springs today. I'm going to be going into standard E or possibly drop D tuning. I got some the Darios, the NYXLs. I believe they're 42 to 9, so they're gonna be a nice light string. So yeah, we're gonna show you, how I balance my spring section, how I cover them, how I use the screws to draw more attention to the lower strings and the higher, which is just something I've done for years. I don't know if it's proper technique, but as far to me, I think it pulls the tension properly, more displaced when you have the lower side tighter than the bottom strings here. So yeah, we're going to be just looking into that, and yeah, I'm just going to be taking clips as I go. So now I'm going to be setting in the bridge just without any tension or springs, so I can put the springs on actually. So I'm going to drop the bottom first. Just kind of lay it in and press forward. You're going to want push my thing over there. You're going to want a little sheet or something to hold this stuff in. I'm not very organized here, but yeah, we're just going to start pulling. I kind of probably do it the hard way, but I just start, this should be actually loosened off to make my life easier. So what I'm doing here, these screws are fairly long that go into the body that are pre-drilled. It's not like you're gonna, I wouldn't push past the place where it has like a tapering where the screw stops screwing. So I wouldn't go any farther than that, but you'll tell when you're too loose too, it'll be pulling a bit softer. But just for the reasons of putting the springs on, we can pull this back a bit, just to make our lives easier. It's kind of hard pulling these damn things. So I generally try to start somewhere in the middle. I do have a shitty spring I'm going to be using, so I'll put that one in the middle. It's a bit heavier and older, so it's just kind of going to be in there too. Well, it'll do something anyway. Generally you use a nice little spring like this, you can catch that. A little more shinier than this piece of junk. I got that in a guitar I just bought online, so that's from the Jackson. Put that in there. Might have put it a little too loose, which is fine. Again, just makes my life easier. Try to get them evenly displaced so it doesn't pop off. It's a little hard at points. We got 2 more. I'll be having some projects I've been working on playing in the background as we go as well. So something to enjoy. There we go. I think that middle spring is actually longer. That may cause problems. Maybe I'll put it at the, because I'll be using more tension at the top here. Maybe I'll put it last. Just do a little there. Get that tighten up nice and quick for it. Once it slide off. We're just going to push down on the backs of the springs while we screw. So we're just going to put, I like to count my turns, full turns, so I know, start from even keel on the bridge here. So you'll want the strings, this angle to be the same as your box angle, and then you count full turns, right? It's a little off, but just for your sake. So like 1, 2, 3, and we'll do them even. I have no strings on, remember, it's just going to be pulling from the back of the bridge. 1, 2, 3. Kind of miscounted there a little bit, but I'm going to want a little more tension on the top because they're going to be a little lower, especially if I go drop D, which I think I will. We'll go maybe 1.5 full turns, so 1.5. Okay, that's maybe 1 3/4, but we'll see what that sounds like in a bit. Get this pulled back a bit for you just to see the whole. Maybe I'll lower this too. Okay, and we're back, and I did forget a step I wanted to do, which is to cover my springs so they you don't get feedback when you put stops and starts. You'll hear those ringing out. So I just like used a piece of cloth, probably off an old wife beater or something. You know, just wraps around, so you can, sometimes you can go in and out, but that makes it a pain. But so for that sake, I'll put that back on now. Okay, now we got our sleeve on and around the springs. Okay, it's going in and around, just clearly around, so you have to take them all out, put them through, and then hang them one by one again. So we're going to be left with some excess, right? So what I like to do is I like to just gently push it into the slots of the springs. Kind of really want to pack it in places. Okay, and that's going to create a densening, so your springs don't ring out. It holds them nice and good too. Well, I like to pop out a little bit. A little more tension there. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, that's good. Once it's got the back plate on there and everything, it'll sit nice and flush. It's sitting fairly good for now. So as you can see, right, and our bridge has no strings on the other side, just pulling down off of the stable, I guess you would call that. Look at that. The pin slotting is a little short on these cord stock. They're nice though. So yeah, that's pulled really tight. So once we get our strings in and laid out, it'll take some new form. So we'll come back to that. We'll take our strings off. So we're going to start with the brass, which is a 46. Okay, I'll get that off. I'm going to need our clippers here. So I like to generally pull maybe an inch down, make sure all the woundings are nice for my start at the bottom. Some guys like to string these through the tops of their tuning pegs. I don't recommend that, although it looks kind of cool. It'll have a little bit of displacement of the strings moving around, so generally I cut them about an inch off. Right? Got the string backwards here. Okay. The side I cut, I'm going to put into the body of the guitar. This is kind of stuff you really don't need to know, but for beginners, so we want our tapered edge. See how it tapers off there? Anyway, so that's the side we want on our headstock. So we're going to use the side we cut here. Get that leaned over. Just pull it over. A little tapered slot there. I use the line of my Allen wrench, extended, just so I can get a good start on it without scratching my guitar up. A little shaky, it is a little tight, not gonna lie. And my Allen keys aren't the best shape. Get that one. And come on. That should hold it fairly well. We can always go in after and tighten it up. Yeah, I'm going to do that for the whole set of the strings, and then we're going to come back and have the headstock pulled up and everything. Then we're going to start with spring tensions and the lining stuff to show you a quicker, easy, it's not so much easy, it's just sort of a feel way of end by eye. So anyway, we will get you set up in a minute. Okay, we've got one string on now, and we'll get the rest going for you. Okay, so we're about halfway there now, and if you can see, the bridge here is already starting to raise from where it was. You know, we got a bit of give here already. So we'll just keep going. Get them all strung out for you, and that show you how to set. Okay, now we're just gonna rough up the shape. This is pretty much, you can see the bridge there. It's almost getting flush. You can see it there, so we're pretty close. I don't know where the strings are, but and that's going to be our string tension there. It's from there, 5 strings, or 5 springs rather. So we shall see. Okay, so we're going to go another full revolution turn. I usually do this a little quicker, but it seems to be not working. So 1. See, it flattens there, but we're going to be adding and taking away tension depending on where the spring draws it from. So we'll just keep going. So yeah, pulling it up quite a bit. This might be almost too much. Check. No, we still got room. G. Show that G again. A little bit there. G. Get on the E. Okay, now we'll go to R, B. Back to G, keep them up a little bit. Keep them up a bit. Okay, keep them up a bit. Not that much. Okay. Back to B. B's out just a smidge now. Pull it up. G seems good. E seems good. A seems good. There's a little. Okay, now we'll go to E's good. We'll do our E. To the D. Start from the top now. Okay, a little bit. D is on perfect. G is on perfect. B is a little high. Now with our fresh strings. Okay, now we got our E in. And our bridge is just about perfectly flush now, if you can tell from the body. Yeah, I don't really know how else to show you. Let me show you this way. Yeah, you can see a little bit better there now that it's, you know, flush. You usually want to keep these pretty flat and in the middle, so when you go to put your lock nuts back on, it's going to pull it down a bit, so you're going to be wanting to loosen them off, and you're going to want that room. So I'll come back to this. I'll finish for you guys though. Okay. Okay. Just a bit off. Okay. Use a bit off. Again, fresh strings too, so they're gonna need to be worked in and then retuned. But yeah, there you have it. She's tuned, ready to go. Oh, don't you know there now, Bobby? Sounds great. See, our bridge is all nice, lined up. Put the back plate on, but that's for for detuning. 5 spring with the reverb guard for the springs set up for you guys. No, it's a bit long, but yeah.